Good morning, guys. This is a lively crowd. I like this. Yeah, no pressure, Ken.
You told me there was like 10 people.
Yeah, no pressure. So first of all, great to be here. Thanks for those of you that I know some of you drove a long way to get here, but also thanks for everybody to be here at a time where you could be biking, hiking, doing all these wonderful things. What's that? Exactly. So thank you. What I wanted to come out today and talk about is just what it is we're trying to do to help you on the Gestalt Group side. And Summer and Eric and I have had a lot of conversations as to, this goes back, we've been talking about this for years actually, but over the past 6 months, we've had a lot of conversations as to if we formed a partnership together, what would that look like for you guys? And because Summer and Eric did not need to bring Gestalt Group in, it's not like it was a need for us to join you guys. It was more of a, how do we just enhance what our value package is? And so what we've wanted to do at Gestalt Group is keep our end of the bargain to make sure that we are adding value where we can. And selfishly, it's because we know if we make you raving lunatic fans of ours, you're going to hopefully attract more people that want to be with our company. And, we're going into times that are probably going to be a little slower next year than they were in 2021. I think we all agree on that. And the only way that we really thrive in times like that is we do it as a group, we do it as a family, we do it through our marketing, we do it through coordinated marketing efforts, we do it with winning the listings, and we do it with having the messaging out there to the community that we are the place you want to be. So that way we thrive next year and continue to thrive. So first of all, did anyone read my letter I sent out?
Yes.
Well, that's more people than I expected. Okay. So the reason I sent that out is, depending on the market you're in, I've had questions over the past, I'd say 2 weeks more than usual, especially since the last Fed announcement, as to real estate agents saying, should I stay in this business? We've had that faster than I've ever seen before. But at the exact same time, we have multiple offers going on. We have deals in Newport Beach and Scottsdale and San Francisco. We had 3 deals this week in San Francisco that sold. One example is a $3.5 million 2-bedroom that sold for $4.2 million. Multiple offer situations. So very mixed messaging out there. And I think the news is sending very mixed messaging. One big example is an article that I saw last week that said, San Francisco has the most people leaving the city of any city in North America. Anyone see that article? San Francisco also has the most people coming to San Francisco. That was not in the article. And there's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of panic. There's a lot of fear. So originally somebody asked if I would do a video and just send it out on my thoughts of the economy, and I started taking notes, and it turned into that long letter. And the reason it turned into the letter is because I think the numbers are important. I think it's important to understand that in our worst year ever, there were 4.2 million sales, back in 2008 and 9-ish. And in our best year ever, which was not last year, 2006, there were over 7 million sales. But our average year, which was basically 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, it was between 5.2 to 5.5 million sales a year sold in America. So even if we go down 20% from last year, this year, if we drop 20%, we're still at our average year. Now let's look at the stock market right now. If the stock market falls even a little bit more, where is it compared to 2018, 17, 16? Is it higher or lower? It's higher. Interest rates, yes, right now they're definitely higher than they were in 2016, 17, 18, but they're still expected to stabilize exactly where the average interest rate's been. And one of the factors here is if you keep looking at the Fed rate rising, it's risen 5 times, it's still 3.75%, mortgage rates over 6%. That gap, that's the biggest gap we've ever seen. Typically, back in 2017, 18, the Fed rate was hovering just under 4%. Interest rates were hovering around 5%, 5.5, depending on the point in the year. So, there's a lot of stuff out there that is just getting exaggerated. And in that process, we have to get our messaging right. How many recessions have there been in the last 50 years where home prices dropped? Anyone know that? I heard it. One, yeah. There's only been one recession where there was a major home price drop. Yes, there's different markets that have different effects, but on a national level, if you average it out over that period of time, there's been one time in roughly the last 50 years where we had a recession where home prices went backwards. Inflationary recessions, people, why do I want to sell? Why do I pay higher interest rate? Wow, I'm at 3% on my current rate. Why don't I just rent it out and buy something different? That's more like what we're hearing right now. So what we have to master is being able to explain that to a client in a way that still creates a sense of urgency to either buy or list a home. So for our buyers right now, yes, maybe their interest rates are higher than they want to spend, but let's look at the future. They're going to go up or down, right? So if they go up, was it a good time to buy now?
Yes.
Okay. If they go down, what's a person going to do in 2 years? Right? So there's really no reason not to do a deal right now. And then you look at the listing side of things. It's the agent that controls the most listings wins in a market like this. And this is the market that really got my career from, I was doing well in 2005, 2006, handling all of the people that just were calling and saying, I want to buy as many of those condos as you can, give me 5% down mortgages. My guy says I can do 5 of them. We had a lot of that back then. But really what took off for me was 2008 and 2009, I collected listings, and I collected a lot of listings. I went from roughly 40 listings to 145 listings after Lehman Brothers crashed in about a 6-month window. And I carried between 140 to 160 listings up until about 2012. And that's a lot of listings, and even in Park City. I think just, what's that?
How did you get those?
Marketing. Yeah, and it's people panicked that things were taking too long to sell, so agents stopped marketing. Agents started looking for listings that would sell faster. Agents started saying, I want to make sure it's priced right. And in that process, I just kept collecting those listings. And my agreement with the clients was very upfront. I will continue to market your home. I will continue to promote your home. I don't really care where you price your home. I'll give you my honest opinion as to what it's worth. If you want to overprice it and wait longer, that's up to you. If you want to underprice it and sell it now, that's up to you. But you are stuck with me till it sells. And they all end up selling. And every market's different. I get that. There's probably not 140 listings in this entire market. I get that. But you still have the ability to increase your listing inventory right now. And you're not going to do this because you're with Engel Völkers. We hope that helps. You're not going to do this because you're with Gestalt Group. You're not going to do this because you've been in a business for 30 years. You're going to do this because you continue to get your name out there. You market yourself, you promote yourself, you grow your brand, you create a brand, and you keep that message going no matter what the economy is going. You have to believe in the long term. You have to believe that last year went up incredibly fast. This year went down incredibly fast, but somewhere in the middle there's a balance. So you have to believe in that balance. You have to believe in that plan. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in marketing. And you have to believe in each other, because if we all start talking together as to where we're marketing, why we're marketing, what is our message in that marketing, and we start having a more coordinated group effort from the company to the agent, to every one of us in the different offices, we're going to have more presence. And the more presence we have, the easier it's going to be to get the listings. The more story we have, the easier it's going to be to get the listings. So really today I want to talk mostly about just getting the listing. Eric and Summer asked me to go over just my listing presentation, and I won't do that in detail because it's long, and we have other things to add to it with Ken and Rick. But I will touch on kind of my listing presentation, because really This one is done with Monica in Sausalito for a $25 million home that she just landed in Los Altos. Los Altos is about an hour and a half from where she is in traffic. We don't have any presence in Los Altos whatsoever. We just have an agent that refused to believe she couldn't get this listing. And so this is a listing presentation that Rick created. And this is the exact same listing presentation that's available to every single one of you guys. But just to go through, I always talk about Engel Völkers in my listing presentation. I always have. And my message to that is really, I start with this, is, I put this in here because I want you to understand that we are a different company. We are led by a person that is an amazing leader who I've had an opportunity to meet that founded this company in Europe. And I think that's important because in Europe, it's a much more community-focused, network-focused real estate world than it is in America. In America, bigger is better. In America, we're trained to think if we're on Zillow or if we're with the biggest company that has thousands and thousands of agents in a market, you're going to have a better opportunity to sell your home. Well, that's not true because most of those agents don't network, they don't communicate. There's just too many listings to put on a system where people will see the new listings in the morning. This man does not believe bigger is better. This man believes let's keep it intimate enough that we actually continue to communicate so that your listing gets exposed to the most amount of people possible. Next, please. Next. I start with bios to talk about ourselves. Next. Next. I go into examples of recent sales so that we really can prove what we've done. And if you don't have recent sales, your office does. Show your recent office sales. Show your recent, community sales. Show your recent sales, whatever they are. And in this case, for example, next, Monica showed her sales. And her sales, none of them, 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, none of these sales were 25 million. She wasn't ashamed of that. She went in kind of very proud of what she's done and very passionate about who she is and convinced that she could get a $25 million listing, even though I told her to partner with somebody. And she got the listing. Well, she tried. Well, I'm not licensed in California. She can't partner with me. So she has testimonials from her clients. Next. Then I talk about, Engel Völkers. You're going to see the same look, the same offices all over the world. You're going to see the same marketing as we go into future slides all over the world because that's our headquarters in Hamburg, where it all starts. We also have a headquarters in Park Ave, New York. And Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is important to you because we are like a united company. There are brands out there that really do not, for example, Christie's has a great art house, but they don't have a headquarters in New York or Europe. That's not how that operation works. They've never been a united company. Yes, Sotheby's is in New Jersey. We are a global company. We do have headquarters in Paris. We have a headquarters in Rome. We have a headquarters in Hong Kong. We have a headquarters in New York. And our main headquarters is obviously in Hamburg. And we have 45 years of working together, creating this company and building it together. And we have brand recognition on a global level. Clients with high dollar sales appreciate this more than low dollar sales because they understand what it means to be in a lawsuit. They understand litigation. They understand the fact that clients on their homes are coming from all over the world. So all of these things matter because they want to know they're with a company that has a backing. And we assume it doesn't matter because we think we're so important that it doesn't matter to them, but I don't shortcut this. I do show the 24 hours of Engel Völkers slide because, what's our competition saying? Our competition's saying they're smaller than us. We're Compass, we're bigger. Well, whoever the competition is, they're saying they're bigger. I do want to really point out to clients that, we have a lot going on. We just do it in a boutique way because we offer a higher level of service. Next. I talk about strategic partners on here. Well, there's Eric and Summer. And this slide here really started, and you have to create your own strategic partner network, but this slide really started from Dana Bloom. Dana Bloom in Scottsdale, she went after the most expensive listing in the history of Arizona, and she did it when the client looked her in the eye and said, I'm listing with this guy, he sold me the lot, he's been on the project for several years, he sold me my last 5 homes, and we just had Thanksgiving Day dinner together in Arizona together. And Dana came in and really explained what it means to have a partner network, explained what it means to have Ken and Sam and Summer promoting this person's home in their market. And she actually had a few of us do videos, a few of us even flew in to just help. And the client, I was in the room, and the client looked her in the eye and said, I'm giving you this listing because I realize right now that my agent is waiting for somebody to come to this market. And you are going outside this market to find a client for me. And that's really what got that listing. And
You don't know what happened. What happened on my side was I pushed it out, and then Marin Magazine called and says, we have an online magazine called Surfaces. We'd like to feature this for our Scottsdale issue.
oh, that's awesome.
And she got it.
That's awesome. Next, I talk about Engel Völkers Private Office Group and what it means. What's that? Oh, Max. Yeah, we love Max.
Yeah.
I'm part of the Realm Network, so I do talk about that. But, you might not be. But, for example, I think Melissa is.
And Ken.
Yeah, well, I know Ken is. But, I mean, in your market, Melissa is. So this is something that we can take advantage of and work as a team to promote your listings through Realm or to other agents through Realm. Next. So here I talk about Gestalt Group, and specifically in Park City, Aspen, Sun Valley, Scottsdale, because these are feeder market, type markets, meaning our clients don't live here full time in many cases. Our clients have either multiple homes or they live somewhere else, and this is a ski or summer home. So feeder markets really matter, but the difference between owning the feeder markets and the difference between just being part of a company that has offices in feeder markets is how we access those offices. So in other words, at Sotheby's, where I came from, yes, we had offices all over the country, all over the world, but there was never an agent in that office or a manager in that office or an ad in that office promoting my listing. In those offices, we had maybe shop TV and maybe a flyer in a window sometimes, and we were on a website. But how many thousands of listings were part of that, right? So in Gestalt Group, whether it's Beverly Hills or San Francisco, we have 18 offices in the Bay Area, including Tahoe and Mendocino and Napa, St. Helena, Sonoma, Healdsburg, Marin County, San Francisco. We have Beverly Hills, we have Long Beach, we have Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Santa Barbara, Santa Ynez, Scottsdale. These are markets where clients that love this valley many times will also have homes or vacation or live full time. And we have agents in those offices that you're going to see on Rick's presentation that are pushing your listings out on their social media, on our office's digital platforms, in print ads. This is all automatically being done. And many of us don't realize it's actually being done. But this is a story that you want to be able to explain to your clients because it really is being done. And this gives you extra reach in front of the right people. Certain things that shock me is when a client says, I saw my listing in the Santa Monica office. I saw my listing in the Beverly Hills office. And that is cool. It shocks me that if we have an intern go out to Beverly Hills, take a picture of that listing in an office, send it to a client, how happy they get. That's something we take for granted because in our minds we're thinking that doesn't work. But our clients love it. And I'm talking billionaire clients that the person I'm thinking of right now is a very wealthy, well-known person. He got geeked out by it because he's thinking with all the listings there are, mine's right here on Montana Avenue every day. So every one of these things has its place, like whether it's being in LA Times hot property section or being in San Francisco or being in Marin Magazine or having influencers in each of these key markets put it out on their social media site. And then noticing in the Gestalt Group network how many other agents repost that. It's very common that one of your listings, once you post it and we repost it and Rick posts it, it's going to end up with 1 million hits in a week or two. And we're doing a lot of our transactions just from that. You know, I did over 100 million in the last 2 years combined, 100 million each year, the last 2 years in just Instagram sales. And my biggest sale ever came from a YouTube sale. So social media is definitely selling a lot of our clients' homes. I think Ken can definitely speak to that later. Next, please. Next, please. I talk about our video. I talk about, you know, right now it's important to make sure that we talk about print, we talk about video, we talk about social media. We don't take these things for granted because the next agent might talk about it all. Next. I do talk about Max, and for those of you who really don't know how to explain what Max is the way I explain it to a client is we want to be laser focused. So we have proprietary technology that helps us figure out the lifestyles and the habits of a certain particular property, whether it's historic, whether it's wine country, whether it's walking distance to a town, so that when we're doing our digital ads, which some of this is going to greatly be enhanced in January with the new Resora, new Chime platforms, a new website from Engel Völkers, that's really going to help the targeting marketing go another level. But I do explain to a client that we actually are trying to be laser focused where we're promoting that property, and we do it through the Max system. Next.
Does everyone know what Max is?
It's a guy in England.
It's a tool.
Yeah, he said right over that.
DMAX.
Head of private office in London. Maxi. Max, Max is a system that kind of basically what I just said. It's a Engel Völkers system that if you put in the information about a property, if you've ever played with it, and you put in the characteristics and details of the property, it helps determine where to market and do digital ads, for example, of that property. So you're hitting people with the right lifestyles, the right interests that would be most interested in that property.
It's on your dashboard, your Engel Völkers World dashboard.
Lunch and Learns coming up. Next. Next. I do want everybody to understand, because we think everyone knows this today, but the last thing you want to do is lose a listing because a Keller Williams agent, that maybe have never even sold a home in your market, made sure that that client knew that they were going to be on all these websites. Again, don't leave any stones unturned. Next.
Paul, can you just mention about Edge? I think one of the questions that I get the most from advisors is, where's a list of all of the 500 websites that our listings are on? And I usually just give them the Edge brochure and say, here's
great.
An explanation, but is there a list anywhere?
Well, better than a list. So Edge, extensive domestic and global exposure.
Very nice.
Wow.
There is a dashboard. You can go in and actually see your stats on the top sites. Now, will it list the 500, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500? The number changes pretty nonstop these days. So we used to try to give the number. I haven't heard it given in a long time, because a lot of the sites feed to other sites. So, it just gets ridiculous at some point. So.
And the back side of any of your listings within your dashboard, you can click on something that says syndication, and it will show you all the syndications that are available, which is also something to be aware of, because occasionally, and Paul can attest to this, you might have that exceptional client who does not necessarily want their property to be shown on Zillow or whatever, and it's a way for you to also control the syndications, but it will give a constant update of what.
You can just one click turn off Zillow right there, for example. And but that same dashboard is showing you all of the websites and even how much traffic you're getting from them. Next, please. Next, please, on this one. We talked about marketing and what it means to have classy print marketing. I'm going to kind of finish with my feelings on that, so I won't hit that right this second. But Gigi, I do want to mention, Like Ken and I had this conversation last night. Sandra Miller has regularly been one of the top agents globally. You know, she's done between 200 to 400 million a year almost every year. Her only marketing expense on a regular basis, other than occasional magazine here or there when a client pushes it, is Gigi. She spends a lot of money on Gigi. John Steiner, who unfortunately passed lately in Beverly Hills, this was his marketing strategy. And he was regularly doing those $12, $15 million homes. You know, and it works like this, and this is how Sandy explains it, is, you know, I used to send a lot of postcards out. I used to send a lot of mailers out. There's nothing more powerful than having the custom Gigi sent out. Custom, meaning having Engel Völkers, which is in your dashboard as well, create a wrap from you. So it's not just you stamping your business card on the front or putting a letter into it. It's customizing the cover from Gigi, from you to your client, and mailed directly from Gigi to your client. You create a database, you sign a deal with them, 2 years I think it is, and they send these to your clients every quarter. Whether you have a 500 person, 1,000 person database, whatever it is, they're getting this quarterly. What Sandra Miller does is she waits about a week and she takes her top 100 clients, and every single quarter she spends a week. She does this 4 times a year. The rest of the year, pretty much, she's in Europe. And she spends that week calling the 100 people on that list to make sure they got her GG and see how they're doing. And as simple as that sounds, this is an amazing tool. It's a beautiful magazine, as we know. Clients keep it. It's a reminder of you because you're on the cover, following it up with the phone calls, an excuse to call. You know, something that simple is creating that kind of volume for Sandy Miller, for example. Next. EV yachting. This is not a gimmick. This is not an art house. This is not something that we're just trying to leverage. We have done 30 plus referrals over the past year between yachting to real estate and real estate to yachting. We are regularly doing commission checks back and forth between the two now. Now, for those of you that do not know, yachting typically is a 10% commission. So your 25% referral fee is a 2.5% commission on the selling price of whatever charter or sale or whatever experience we are offering. You know, our yachting division, yes, we have offices in Naples, and hope they're okay today. That's quite a storm. We have offices in Naples. We have offices in Annapolis, an office in Newport Beach, and soon to open in Tiburon. And then the next one will be in Seattle. Right now we have approximately 35 yachting agents working with us. And it's not an easy thing to get that license. And it's not just, hey, I love boats, I want to be part of this. You know, Walt and Leanne are doing an amazing job. Walt, who runs this with us, you know, he's won some of the most famous global races in the sailing world. He's been hired by the Spanish government to retrace Ponce de Leon's path on a sailboat. You know, like he knows people all over the planet in the boating world. It's amazing. So if you call up and you want to charter in a BVI, you call up, you want to go into Asia sailing, you want to buy the latest Italian boat, you know, these guys are amazing at what they do, and they don't care if it's a dinghy, they don't care if it's a kayak, they don't care if it's a charter, and they certainly can handle a $30 or $40 million yacht. So it's a great resource to use when you're out of marketing ideas with your clients, to let them know about this experience that you have this partnership with, you have this network with, you can help them anywhere in the world plan their vacation or buy their next toy.
More importantly, getting your listing in front of the clientele of EV yachting.
Yes. Yep, so Leanne, Walt's wife, who is the CEO of the yachting side, she used to run Coldwell Banker, California. So she owned a brokerage in Denver. So she comes from the real estate background. The reason it's worked so well is Leanne viewed Walt as having a lot of touches because people have boats that break or need new accessories. So they call their yacht, whoever they buy a boat from, they generally have a lot more contact with than they do in the real estate world. And on our end, we have a lot more marketing and technology. So they wanted to marry that together, and it's been an amazing partnership for us. You know, I do talk about the polo school because I'll never forget what Christian told me when I was in Mallorca a few years ago for one of the events, is People with money love polo. I want to be in front of people with money. I want to make sure we have that proper connection. You know, in Europe it is a big deal, but it's starting to become a bigger deal here. We have sold 2 very large homes in Santa Barbara, for example, specifically to people that wanted to be on the polo field for the 3 months a year that they do polo in Santa Barbara. You know, so the message here, though, to your clients is that we are a lifestyle brand, that, you know, we actually do what we say we're doing. Christian does play polo pretty much 3 to 5 days a week. Next. I always lay out my marketing plan, and I try to make it very, very specific. I spend a lot of money in marketing. And you can turn it off from here, because this is really what I want to talk about is, for us to grow, for you to grow, for Engel Völkers to grow in this valley, you know, you have to believe in investing in yourself. We do these, and I hope you guys will attend the next one we do in Scottsdale. We haven't created a date yet, but we do our networking events for Gestalt Group, where we usually get a couple hundred people. Napa, the last one was in Tahoe. Next one's in Scottsdale, where we share ideas together. And in the Tahoe one recently, Nate Rydell, who's one of our agents in Truckee, he gave a presentation of what he has learned as an agent. You know, Nate is definitely speaking more from the agent side than the manager and owner side. And he really wanted to get up there and talk about how stubborn he had been for 4 or 5 years, and believing he could do this without an assistant, believing he could take his business to the next level without creating a business or treating it like a business. And you know, it was a great speech. I'd love to get him out here in front of you guys. Actually, it was one of my favorite I've watched. But you know, the core of what Nate was explaining is that many of us are really out there just winging it. You know, we have relationships, we have a CRM that we really don't use. We have names in there, so we could use it one day, hopefully. We might call Resora our CRM, or whatever mail program you're using. That's not your CRM. That is a marketing tool, you know. But what I'm speaking to right now is the masses. You know, no matter how much volume an agent does, it never ceases to amaze me how much winging it we're doing from our relationships and our networking, by being at the right restaurant or at the right country club. We meet the right person and we're succeeding. But we never get to that point where we're thriving. And we certainly never get to that point where this is a business that keeps working even if we're not there. You know, my business, definitely I can speak to this, because I was able to I had my biggest year last year that I've ever had.
What was that?
It was about 300 million. But I did it while on the road most of the year. And you know, this year's also, it's not going to be that big, but it's definitely going to be hitting in that 160 to 200 billion range for the year. And again, I'm on the road pretty much nonstop. My clients know this. You know, I don't have a big team. I have somebody helps me specifically showing listings, and somebody helps me with technology. And my clients 100% know that my focus is Gestalt Group. My focus is on the road. I'm not shy about it. It's all over Instagram, wherever I am. They know I'm not in Park City showing homes. And in the listing presentation, I go over everything I'm going over. But I tell the client, I'm not going to be showing your home. I'm not going to be doing the open house. I'm going to be handling your negotiation. I'm going to be managing the marketing. But I've always treated it like a business. I've known Rick for a long time. Rick's known me since 2004. He built my first website. He's going to come up and talk marketing. But I think Rick can tell you I've had as many as 12 people on a team. I've had as many as 1 on my team. I've tried it all, you know, but I've always treated it like a business. I've always spent, back in 2004, 2005, 2006, I was spending $400,000 to $500,000 a year marketing. I never stopped. And, you know, maybe 2009, I spent a little less, but I still had a 7-figure income when, in our worst year in real estate. And I believe we always can have an amazing year in this business. There's always going to be people buying and selling homes, but they're going to call whoever comes to their mind first. It's like postcards. It's kind of, if you ever read the NAR stats, they used to do these marketing reports and as to what's working and over a mass number of people. And postcards, for example, pretty much any marketing works this way. It takes 8 to 9 months to be recognized. So 8 months of doing 3 postcards a month and not having a single person call will usually have a realtor say, I have no interest in doing this anymore and it's not working. Most of the time people quit within 3 to 6 months. They say, I didn't get any phone calls, I'm done. But we know going into it that it takes 8 to 9 months before it starts. And so really believing, and I applied the same philosophy to magazines, to newspaper, and I've never, in all these years had somebody walk in the door and say, I saw your ad in the Park Record, I'm buying a home from you. I've never had that. How many pages a month do I do in the Park Record?
4 to 6 at least.
8 to 10, but shortchanging me. 8 to 10 usually, and for how many years? Since 2004, right? Never skipped. Never ever skipped. Like when things got really tight, I might have gone to 4. That's probably the worst I've ever done. It's not an expensive magazine. It's like $700, $1,000 a page, and so it's something I've just never slowed down on.
You need to meet everybody in the conversation.
Who is talking?
That's funny.
Just mute all.
Mute. Dean
Okay,
Best,
stop.
up at the
Okay,
top,
stop.
John.
Yes.
There you go. So I believe heavily in, even though no one ever came through the door and said, I saw you in the Park Record, as I take the listing, so how did you hear about me? Oh, I see you everywhere. Well, do you see my ads in the Park Record? Oh yeah, forever. Many times we're not asking the right question or we're assuming something's not working because it's not generating buyer calls. The number one way to generate a buyer call, there's 2 ways to really generate buyer calls without doing the Zillow every month and all that stuff. One way is having an amazing database and really farming that database and having a plan to farm that database. But the other way is have listings. You have a lot of listings, you're on a lot of the edge websites, you have signs in the yard, you're going to get phone calls. So it does start with the listing. Our life cycle starts with the listing. And yes, you can have a database and have a lot of buyers and not really worry about the listing. And that's great, but if you add the listing to it, it gets even easier and probably doubles your business. And in general, it will double your business. So my belief is to keep yourself out there. Now, we can't all afford to do a lot of print. I get that. Like some of us are just starting in a business or have life situations. But the beauty of today's world is there's social media. There's a lot of different ways to stay out there. But the agents that are making a living from social media are not doing it because they're just posting a home and liking a few things. They're going in on a regular basis and building relationships. There's an agent in the Bay Area we were talking about last night. I think he's with Compass these days, but his name's Jim Wahlberg, and I've known Jim for 20 years, and Jim makes his living off one marketing platform, Facebook. And the way he's done it all these years is every single morning he and his wife take turns for an hour each communicating with their local coffee shops, art galleries, friends, whatever, like in his community of Walnut Creek, I think it is, or Danville, thank you. In his community in Danville, he is known by pretty much everybody because he works that system. That's not costing him anything, but he's communicating. He's going out and good job with your daughter on her soccer game yesterday. Hey, great job on your new promotion I saw. That alone has built his business for many, many years.
Birthdays on Facebook is a big thing for him.
Yes, and he doesn't just say happy birthday. What's he do on your birthday?
He writes a whole paragraph
Yeah. Yeah.
about you.
Or he'll record a video
Yeah.
and send it to you for your birthday to say happy
every year.
birthday. Yep.
No fail.
Yep.
What's his name?
Jim Wahlberg. Jim Wahlberg.
He's in realm.
He's in Realm. He was inducted in the Inman Hall of Fame this year and all that stuff. And, you know, the point I'm trying to get at is this group is going to have a bigger presence is if we establish the mindset that we all must do this. And we're all going to do it different ways. Some are going to do postcards, some are going to do magazines, some are going to do social media, some will do all the above. Maybe you're doing videos, maybe you're doing local news, maybe you're doing a lot of community events and hosting those events. But we as a group are going to be more powerful if we're all kind of adapting that mindset that it doesn't happen for us. There's no brand you can go to that's going to create this for you. Like, the brand is supposed to be a tool. Christian Völkers said to me once, and it was one of my favorite things I ever heard him say, is all I wanted to build was a listing tool. When he established Engel Völkers, that was it. All I wanted to create when we sat back, he and Dirk, 45 years ago, was we wanted to create the ultimate listing story. And that's what it was for me. That's why I came. You know, I went to Sotheby's for that same thing, and back in 2010, and I did not come to Engel Völkers to own a whole bunch of offices. I came as an agent, and in coming as an agent, I came because I saw the value in that as a listing story. Because, you know, no matter what your price point is, you always want to up it, you know, somehow. And that story appeals to the people who travel the world. And the people that travel the world know the brand, they see the brand, they get the brand, so the story's there. But getting the marketing out, like I'll go into markets. This happened in Newport Beach once. We had an agent said, well, how come we're not marketing enough as a company? I'm like, okay, well, who's marketing more than us as a company? And she said, well, everybody. So for the fun of it, I had our intern go out and buy like 20 magazines. And we laid them out on the table. You know, she was our top agent. I really wanted to have this conversation and so that we're on the same page. And, you know, we, as a company, we had 2 brand pages that month. Sotheby's had 1 or 2. Soter had 1 or 2. You know, on and on and on. The magazine was filled with agents. It was all agents. And our perception when we're looking at those print ads and magazine ads is that it's all company. It's almost never that much company. It's the agents. And, you know, the downer to believing that bigger is not better, and I truly do believe bigger is not better. I love the fact we're a boutique. I love the fact that we can network more and that because of the size of us, we can see each other's listings, promote each other's listings, and help each other more. The negative to it is there's not as many of us in the room when it comes to print. So that's where we have to be a little bit more powerful and make sure we believe in it and get that message out there. Or we believe in social media and get that message out there. Or we have to get our message out there more as a group, and we have to coordinate that more. I asked Ken to join us today because, you know, Ken is an example of somebody that joined us in the Bay Area in a really competitive market. Really, you know, cities take a lot longer to break into generally than ski towns. You know, they say it takes 22 years for a real estate company to break into a market, you know, unless you buy the market. That's the stats at Swanepoel, and they're kind of the stat leader is tracking things, but they say it's 22 years to establish significant market presence without buying market share. Now, we all know Compass went in and bought market share, and that might not have worked out as well as they had hoped. But, you know, for the industry, we hope it does. But in general, what I have seen is people like Sandy Miller or Gene Merkelbach or Ken Dara who are in markets where the market share is very small, but they excel. And, you know, I bring up Gene. Gene did her $400 million last year in Lake Tahoe. You know, we're one of the smaller companies in Lake Tahoe, but we had 6 of the top 10 agents in the board of realtors. Sandy Miller does her $200-300 million a year in Santa Monica. The only office in West LA is Sandy's team. There's no other agents doing marketing. She doesn't have a big, you know, presence outside of what that office is doing, but collectively they work together to get their message out. And they do it through a lot of events and a lot of social media, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But I've watched Ken do it. He basically came in and said, I want to double or triple he's actually tripled his business, but I want to double my business. And he spent a lot of time with Rick going over like print strategies and spent a lot of time with me going over just overall strategies, but I've watched a social media strategy, I've watched a postcard strategy, I've watched Ken work on building a CRM, I've watched Ken create a magazine presence, and I've watched Ken create a newspaper presence. All of the above were consistent and with a long-term plan in mind, and I'll let you speak to it.
Hi, I'm Ken Darrow with Engel Völkers in the San Francisco Bay Area. My office is out of Sausalito. It has a really shitty view. Right, Paul? I live in Tiburon, Belvedere, which is on the other side. Also a not so great town, which the EV yachting store is going to be going into. Am I blocking anybody? So when I it was funny. I was going to start out today with that. I did a personality test for EV, and what I got out of that whole thing was that I'm fearless and unorganized. So that worked out well. So I'm going to roll back a little bit. I've been in real estate since 1993. I've done every facet of real estate that you can think of, from managing, biz dev, selling, and all the above. One of the things I did was I worked with my mother, and there's a reason where I'm going with this on the marketing side. So back to my mother. So she was the #1 real estate agent in New Jersey, and there's a reason why I'm going back this far. I used to see her work with a lot of international clients, and we would go, and when she would sell houses, they would go back to their home country with about 50 or 75,000 in equity. This is back in the 80s when interest rates are at 18%. And they just loved the fact that they made money going back to Switzerland or Germany or wherever they were from. So in the summers, we would go to Europe and we would visit her clients, which now one of the clients is one of my godchildren. And I was like, gosh, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. I want to try to sell real estate, but I want to do it on a global level. But I never could figure out the engine on how to do it, because there was really no engine out there that could really pull it off. Fast forward, I ended up dating a girl from Liechtenstein for about 10 years. I was then doing real estate technology training with Matt Ferrara. I just met him out of the blue. He's like, hey, I need somebody to teach top producer systems. And so he and I started in '93 to build Matthew Ferrara seminars. I broke off and went to Realtek. But I still had that inkling, so I would hang out in Europe with my ex-girlfriend now, from Liechtenstein, and we would always go to the Italian Lake region in August. And we went to this one little area called Ascona, Switzerland. And I would always go down every morning, to get our bread or our breakfast, because that's what you do in Europe. And what was next door to the pastry shop or the bakery? Engel Völkers. And so I'd always see these places in Zurich. I would see them in Hamburg. I would see them in Munich. And so I was like, huh. So they're Immobilienhandler, which is they say in German. And then all of a sudden, fast forward, I moved back from Switzerland to the Bay Area because I broke up with that girlfriend. And so I was selling real estate for about 2 or 3 years. I went into management, then I got back into selling. And all of a sudden, I get a call from Matthias for Engel Völkers in LA saying, hey, would you like to buy a franchise? I wasn't ready to buy a franchise, but I went down and said, I know the brand. Let's just see what they're going to do. I just felt they weren't ready for prime time at that time. So fast forward again, I was working at Sotheby's. I was their #2 agent before I left and went to a boutique called Vanguard. And I was at Vanguard for about 2 years with my then business partner. And then I get a call from Joanne Zavlaris, who's our manager in Marin, and says, hey, Ken, you really should, I'm the manager at EV. I want you to come over. I'm like, you're what? I just did a deal with her. It went horribly wrong. And I was like, you just called me after our transaction was horrible. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go see her because she has a lot of balls to do that. So what I did was I met with her and Rick Turley in Marin at this little place called the Lumber Yard. And I'm talking, and I'm just I got trust issues. Everybody knows it. So I'm just sitting there going, all right, just tell me. So not expecting to ever leave. I was just going to stay at Vanguard and be happy because, just to backtrack a little bit, I thought Sotheby's was going to be this great global experience. Well, I'm not going to lament. I'm sure they do fine in other places. It just wasn't working for me, because every time I would try to go to Europe and go try to meet with a Sotheby's office, it never worked out. I don't think the right hand was talking to the left hand. And whenever I tried to get involved, it didn't have that family feel. It was more of a corporate feel. So it just wasn't a fit for me and being at Sotheby's. So, and I'm not trying to talk them down or not, but EV is definitely a company that's made for me. Not because I play polo, not because I sail, and I do both, and not because I go to Europe all the time. My wife is from Argentina and Italy, so she spends a lot of time in Europe, and she works for a little company called LVMH. So she likes to go to Paris and usually work there in the summer, and take the kids, and then I'll fly out later. But long story short, and the reason why I'm up here is that we had that conversation. They said, you really need to meet this guy, Paul Benson. And I said, Paul who? And so they said, well, why don't we meet again next week? He's going to be in town. I'm like, okay. So long story short was that I met him, and I was like this again, going, okay, what's he going to try to sell me? And I was like, holy mackerel, this guy is incredible. I mean, he was telling me everything I wanted to hear. And it really worked out really well. And I said, and that's when I told him, I said, how are you going to help me build my business? I said, how are you going to help me double or triple my business? It's because right now I'm very frustrated. And I actually want to be a global player. I want to be a global agent, right? And I didn't even know about feeder markets. I'm like, what the heck's a feeder market? And so he actually took the time to sit down with me and explain, here's what I'm doing. And I was like, holy shit, this makes sense. And then he said, I want to introduce you to Rick Raborzik. And so I met with him, and he calls me out of the blue. I'm like, who are you? He goes, we're going to sit down and work on your marketing plan. He literally laid out a postcard system for 12 months for me. He goes, don't worry about it. He's like, I said, but he goes, we can change it around. We can throw some of your listings in between. We can do this and that. And he said, if you're not satisfied with that postcard, don't worry. Just send it out anyway. You just need to be consistent. And I was like, okay. And then I started doing a lot more print. And I wasn't doing any of this at Vanguard or Sotheby's. I wasn't. So talking about my personality profile, taking a risk, I took a huge risk on these guys because I was spending a lot of money in Marin Magazine, Marin Living. I was doing these postcards. I was spending $3,000 a month on postcards to Tiburon, Belvedere, Sausalito, and Ross, and sometimes Kenfield, along with having my, and this was 3,000. I was only going after 3 million plus households, but it's 3,000 postcards every month that I was sending out.
3,000.
Mm-hmm. And he was right. By postcard 8, nothing. Postcard 12, we got a call. Postcard 15, okay, now we're starting to get the callbacks. But it took that long, and it had to be consistent. And the big thing was I didn't want to think about it. It just had to go. And we were just paying the money and doing it. On top of doing, in Tiburon, there's a magazine for Belvedere, Tiburon, and Strawberry, which is unincorporated Mill Valley. We were running full-page ads in that. And whatever postcard we were sending out, we were trying to match the ad to the postcard. So it was people were getting the same communication.
Consistent messaging.
Right.
We'll see some ads here in a second when John gets the PDF files up. We'll take a look at some of what Ken's talking about.
So then what we started to do, and then we would do the listings, and but at the end of the day, what happened was, people started calling. I also advertise in the ballet for the San Francisco Ballet, and actually walking the dog, someone's like, "Hey, you look familiar," and I said, "Oh, I sell real estate." She's like, "Yeah, that's it. I saw you in the Swan Lake playbill." And I'm actually doing Nutcracker. Why am I doing that? Because they see me all the time in the Arc. They see me all the time in Marin Living. I'm actually going to be doing probably a 2-page spread in Marin Living starting 2023. It's going to cost me probably about 32 grand to do it, but I'm doing every month. Because I take other top agents' assistants to lunch and to find out what they're doing. And a couple of assistants were like, yeah, we're doing the double page, and we did $250,000 just off that ad, which is $32,000 for the year. So I'm like, maybe it's worth doing that. But Paul is absolutely correct. It's consistency, right? If you're going to do something, just see it through. If you look at my social media, we try to match what I'm doing on the print with the digital. We do a lot of digital. We do a lot of YouTube. Everything is run through YouTube. Video is key. If you guys aren't doing video, you got to do video. I find that I get better production value when I actually go through the house and I describe it to people on YouTube. Luckily, my social media guy also is a videographer. So he actually will shoot the video. Does it have to be professional? No. But we just go in, we just do our dog and pony show. He edits it down, and then he puts it right onto YouTube, and we throw money at it. It's not a lot of money. We spend about $200 on a YouTube video, and it reaches a bunch of people, and then we integrate it into Instagram and into Facebook and into LinkedIn. And we do get a lot of exposure that way. I have agents now from EV locally saying, hey, I'm having a hard time selling this listing. I have one in Santa Rosa right now, which is in Sonoma County. An agent said, do you mind being on the listing with me? I need your help because this house isn't selling. It's a nice house. The developer didn't think of talking to a real estate agent before they built the house. So it's a much bigger square footage than anybody needs. But we're advertising the heck out of it in Marin County in San Francisco to find a buyer who maybe wants to go up into that Sonoma area. It's in the Fountain Grove area where it was really hit hard with the fires. So a lot of houses were burned. So this is a brand new build. So I've had a lot of success with that, with doing that. And go back to what Paul was saying with listings and how people like to see their listings. What I do now is I had a listing called Lamborghini Living. I don't know if any of you saw the video on that, but it was very popular. And you know how I got that listing? It was a referral from Siracusa, Sicily. Sausalito clients of mine, well, they weren't mine at the time, they're just in love with Italy. So they were in Sicily, they were looking at the EV shop. They actually, an agent came out and said, hey, what are you thinking of buying something? And they're like, yeah, we're thinking about it, but we got to sell our house first. Oh, can I help you with that? We have an office in San Francisco. I got the listing lead. We sold the house, which is interesting, but during the process, I knew they were going back to Italy. They were going to Portugal, and they were going to Sicily, and they were going to, I think, Lake Como. So I said, oh, where are you going? So I knew the towns they were going to be in. We emailed the offices, and we had their listings put in those windows. And they were like taking pictures like, holy moly, our house that's our house. Seriously, we did this. They didn't know I called. They just assumed that's what EV does. And so it worked out really well. And they're diehard EV fans right now, to the point that they just bought their dream house in Lake Como last week.
Oh, wow. And you have a referral?
Yeah. So I've got about 6 referrals going in Europe. So what I want to really help you understand is that I had a dream of how can I make my business global. And I didn't have the engine. Engel Völkers is that engine, right? So now I'm doing a deal right outside of Zurich, called a little tax haven called Zug, Switzerland. So what I'm doing is I'm advertising not just listings and solds, but on those postcards that are going out, the magazine ads that are going out. I work directly with Rick, and we came up with a marketing campaign for, hey, I know for sure that there's a lot of wealth in Marin County, just like here, and they own more than one home. There's a ton of people who have houses in Paris. They have houses in Italy. They have houses all over. So I've been advertising that, hey, I can help you with your local business, but I can also help you with your global business. So if you're looking to purchase something, or you want to do a list, or Whatever you want to do, I can do it. So the advertising is going out locally to these people. So I've got a guy in Mill Valley who wants to buy something in Rome. So we've hooked him up with an EV agent in Rome. And this is a secondary home for them. He's a tech guy. I've got a woman from Mill Valley who is half Swiss. She wanted a home in Switzerland. And so that's the one with Yannick, who's going to be at the private office event in Chicago. So he said, let's get together. But the woman that I put him in touch with is now working with him, and she loves him. And they're working on trying to find the right summer home for her, right? I just helped a guy sell his $5 million house in Tiburon, California, who's from Spain. And he actually then purchased a place in Barcelona with a sale. So this is unusual because even Gabby Schweitzer, who works with Anthony Hitt, said, this is unnormal to have this many relocations going on a global level for a North American agent. But this was my passion. This is what I wanted to do. Do I make a ton of money on the referrals? No, but it's the icing on the cake. This is what I love. I love that I'm able to go to Europe. And I have a ton of friends, and I can go visit the different offices. You go to Rome, you go to Zurich, you go to France. I was in Sun Valley. Okay, if we talk about the feeder markets, I spend a lot of time in Sun Valley. I work out of that office. Am I going to buy a house there? Maybe, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I was able to go rent a place there, and I wrote it off. You know, because we like going there. We like to hike. We like to mountain bike. Do all that. So I like visiting the different feeder markets. When I was at Scottsdale with Dana Bloom and Paul when we were helping get that listing, it was amazing to go on tour and just see how that area operates, or how Aspen operates. I haven't been able to go on tour yet, but or how Sun Valley operates. But I think it's really interesting. So when people do come, they actually, I understand those markets because I've visited them. I've broken bread with the agents there, and I think that's a big thing that has to happen. The other thing I do with marketing is that in Sun Valley they have a magazine called SVPN magazine. It's not that expensive. It's like $200 or $300 a month for a page. So what I do is I advertise my business because we have a lot of people who either have homes or they rent homes in Sun Valley from the Bay Area. It's kind of like Park City in LA. You need to understand where your client base is coming from. It's like Canadians going to Scottsdale or Texans going to Colorado. So a lot of Bay Area people own homes in Sun Valley or rent, like I said. So what I'm doing is, yeah, they see my picture in Marin Magazine or Marin Living, the Arc, the Ballet. I actually advertise in the Sun Valley Symphony playbill as well, along with SVPN. Why do I do SVPN? It's cheap. I can take a one-page ad for like $250 or $350, I think it is. It goes into every hotel room and it goes into every private jet that leaves the jetway. You know, so all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, there's that Ken guy again." So I really truly believe in that. I'm doing a new thing now. We're working with Rick on, since we're sending out a postcard. In Tiburon, there's this great movie theater that just reopened after COVID, and it's called a Cine Lounge. I don't know if you've seen those yet, but they're super cool. So what we're trying to do is we're going to be actually going to Cine Lounge and asking the owner, "Hey, can we do a partnership here?" So they can take the postcard down, get a free popcorn, things like that. So we're trying to come up with different ways to work with the local community within Sausalito or Tiburon or Mill Valley, and really kind of integrate that into our marketing.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Corn.
Right?
Take the postcard in from Aspen Film just bought the ISIS.
So, but we're trying to think out of the box, right? And so again, we go back to Rick and we say, "Hey, can we do this? How can we design it in a way that this is going to work, or how does it make sense?" So what I really like is I have a team. I have Eden that works in Marin, and he works with us that works directly with Rick, and we work together on the postcards and come up with a solution. I yell at him a lot. I'm like, "I don't like that." Rick's like, "Be nice." But we have fun, and the important thing is we're having fun. I like going, like I said, doing the feeder markets I think are very important. Getting out there, going to EVX is important. And I also like the fact that we've switched to SkySlope. I don't know if you understand SkySlope. We had Planet RE before. I couldn't deal with Planet RE. But SkySlope is an escrow. I don't do any of my escrows. I have a transaction coordinator that handles all that. So I've got a buyer's agent, a listing coordinator, as well as an assistant, and then there's me. And then I have some other peripheral, I have other people that I work with on the side. But primarily, that's the team. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'm doing stuff that I like. So if you're going to market, and I know, the one thing, especially going into this market, and another thing Paul's brought it up is, I've been watching my P&L a lot closer, my profit and loss statements. I have to know what I can spend money on, and there's certain things I'm not spending money on because I know it doesn't work. But I am spending money on other things that I think are going to work. So you just have to be careful about that. But to really, I mean, it's all about getting back into networking. And what I do is, I just like taking clients out to dinner, right? I like to have them at the house and we cook. That's what I like doing. Other people might like to do something else. But find out what you're passionate about and what you like, and include your clients. I mean, I want to go to your party, Stefan. One of the things. One room only. And a bottle of tequila. Yeah.
No other brokers are allowed.
Got it.
Not marketing.
Yeah. But if you don't have any money to start, or you have very little, social media, like Paul was saying, social media is the play.
Or your phone.
Or your phone. Just get on the phone and start dialing for dollars. Yeah. And what I've been doing is now just calling my clients. One of the things I am going to be doing is the GG magazine, which I think has a lot of pull, and Paul's correct. I am going to do the wrap. We're going to start sending it out to my top 100 clients. And then what we can do is we can build from there. But I think people like looking at real estate porn in the back, right? Every one of my clients who gets it, right? Every one of my clients who gets it loves it. And they always ask for it again. So why not put it on a 2-year subscription and give it to them? It's money well spent. I'm actually thinking of, we have a lot of Europeans that live in the Bay Area as well. So once they see it, so I'm trying to figure out other avenues on how to get it out to people with my branded information on it. We'll sometimes leave them at the yacht club. We'll leave them at the private jetways in Sonoma, Napa with my information on it. But at the end of the day, I actually want to kind of directly mail to people who have high-end homes within Ross, Kentfield, Tiburon, Belvedere, Sausalito, and just mail it to them. And just have a little letter explaining, this is who we are, this is what we do. So they can look at it and they go, wow, this company's a class act. Maybe when we sell, we need to talk to them. And just introduce them to the brand, even though we don't know them. Make sense? So that's one of the things I'm going to be pushing. Did I miss anything, Paul?
No, you're great.
Yeah? But now I have to, but I have to say, yeah. The check will be in the mail? No, but I have to say I haven't been more passionate about a company, and not because I play polo and I sail and I do all this stuff. It's just kind of kismet that it all worked out. But I think things happen for a reason in life, and I was meant to meet Paul that day, even though I was very closed-minded about it. And I also think I had a dream and I wanted to get there, and I had a vision on how I wanted to get there. And yes, when I left, I was living in Liechtenstein. Actually, it's a little principality out in between Switzerland and Austria. I left because I got kicked out of the country, and I moved to San Francisco, and I went up to Tiburon. I don't know why I was there. I was like, this is where I want to move. And within a 5-year period, I made that dream happen, which was shocking. And I went back to my kind of vision board, and I'm like, wow. I've got the house I want, I got the car I want, I got the family I want. Yeah. So instead of going for a Germanic girl, I went for a Latin girl. It's been working out really well. But we've been having fun. If you're not having fun, do something else. And so I've been having a blast. And one of my favorite things to do is to come to things like this. And like Paul, I tell all my sellers, my average price for listings is about $5 million. In 5 to 8, and so what's fun is that Jennifer Ames, my Jennifer Ames, not the Chicago one, handles all the listing coordination. My assistant helps, and so I can go to these things and not worry. The sellers know up front that that's how we operate, because I have to go network with you people, right? And so, but it's great meeting everybody. So thank you for the time, and if you want to see any of the stuff that we do, I'm happy to share it. If you want to go to my Instagram, it's Coffee with Kendera. Coffee with Kendera, yep.
Did anyone notice he said he has a vision board? So Eric and I aren't the only crazies who have vision boards.
I do visit.
Yeah, Pinterest works well, but it's kind of public. But no, you have to manifest it, and everybody's like, oh, I'm saving for that. Well, screw it. Just go make some money. It's not hard. If you don't make your calls, then you know that you just have to make calls. That's all I do. It's all referral. And get into I call everybody on the Rome Global. I talk to people on Rome Global. I talk to people in private office. The trick is, you're not a secret agent. They're not supposed to remember that you're a real estate agent. You're supposed to remind them that you're a real estate agent. So. You want something?
Good morning, everybody. For those of you that may not know me, I'm Rick Barsik. I got to get mic'd up, sorry. The Director of Marketing for the Gestalt Group, and I think I've seen a lot of you on some Zoom calls and whatnot. But I also want to introduce my coworker in Park City here, Michelle Scott, who is a super admin, super woman. She didn't wear a cape today. So she's a superstar. She not only just takes care of the Park City office, she also runs the internship program. She's a very passionate person when it comes to the international side of our business and all those wonderful young professionals that are looking to get a great experience from our group. And I'm going to let Michelle talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, just a few words. Number one, thrilled. We are so thrilled to have you all as part of our group, our family, and our team. I've had great pleasure in meeting some of you already virtually, being able to connect with you, working to help support. I'm only here helping support you in other ways, along with your wonderful, wonderful team that you have here. I've been able to interact with Dina and Andrew and Portland and Summer and wonderful group. You're in amazing hands here, which is fabulous. And the international internship program is something that Paul asked me, was I interested in, maybe taking on a couple of years ago, and I said, I'll give it a couple of months, I'll get some sort of idea formed for you and get it back to you, and you can go from there. And here I am, like 4 years later. So we have international interns coming from all over the world. Most of them are coming from Europe. We do have some that come from Central and South America on occasions, which we love too. And the diversity of having them come and integrate with us. And these are bright, intelligent, very highly educated young people. And we are endeavoring to get one person here for you here in this area. Challenge, I think, is a little bit of the cost of living, but we have good news that we do have an intern from from Germany. And his name is Dominic, and he'll be getting his visa, and he'll be helping to support you all with marketing, with questions that you have on IT, under the leadership of both Rick and myself. And he will be based in Salt Lake, which is good because we can keep our hands around him and make sure that he's giving you the right support. And we hope to have him here in the next 6 weeks. So a pleasure meeting you all. I look forward to continuing our relationship, and I know I get to meet some more of you a little bit more. And I'm here if you need anything, just reach out. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle goes beyond just what a normal office administrator. She's what I kind of coined a while back, a MOA. It's like a marketing office administrator. She is a super version of that. She handles a lot of the back end website stuff. She took it upon herself as a self-proclaimed non-techie.
Non-techie.
The techiest non-techie person I've ever met. I think you just helped out with Andrew and Stefan's website. So anyhow, we're all here for you. I put this presentation together and for all of you to kind of see what we have available for you as being part of the Gestalt Group, as family members. Go ahead, John, if you wouldn't mind. And if you could click on the, is it already? It might already be up. Yep, it is. Perfect. Okay, so we'll skip through some of these. This is going to be available for all of you, including a few of the one sheets that I'm going to show you after this. We'll go ahead and go past this too, John. And we already saw this one. So, well, actually, we'll stay. Can we go back just for a second? The reason why this slide, this spread is so unique and so versatile is because it shows not only where we are all located in terms of ownership location, an ownership group location, but it shows where we market and where referrals are likely to come from within our group and do. So this is a very amazing talking point that very few, if any, realtors in any other brand can really take advantage of this conversation around, well, we have offices in, we have offices in the ones with the larger circle around is where there's a cluster. So San Francisco, down in LA and Orange County, and of course, Colorado, Utah, and elsewhere. So, it's a great conversation to be able to say, I can have your listing in the LA Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Marin Living, and just to prove to you all that I'm not just smoke and mirrors here, here's an example, Mountain Luxury in Colorado. There's 4 of your listings right there. Okay? So just letting you know, this is how it works. We do a lot of cross-marketing with our listings from all of these shops. And it's all a little bit based around a strategy and what promises or what you've discussed with your clients. So it doesn't happen on every single listing, but the ones that it matters for, it certainly does. And it also happens in these same locations with the separate social media channels that we also have too. We'll go over that in a second. But this is a great slide here, and this is something that, as you saw, was in Paul's listing presentation. So this is a strong one. You can move forward there, John. This is something that Paul might be able to speak a little better to, but this is our management and leadership group here. So you guys already know Joe, but then, and obviously, yeah, I've been trying to get Joe to get a new picture for a while. We just can't pin him down. He's like MMA or something, He'll just beat the business out of them. But anyhow, so we'll go forward, John. Thank you. And this is one of my favorite slides, of course, our marketing staff and support. So just to let you know, our marketing staff is regional, but we also work very closely as a team. And at any one given time, McKiley in Park City will be helping out Stefan with maybe an ad or something like that if Destiny is working on a different project. So we do shuffle around. We have a lot of bandwidth, not only just in Aspen, but also elsewhere within the group. And so this group meets once a week, every week. We go over initiatives, we go over new things that we're doing. We talk with one another and find out what our wins have been that last week, what our losses have been, what we need to do to make things better, or what has worked really well, so we can use that same technique in another marketplace for another advisor. So this is a great group right here. Go ahead, John. Okay, events. Well, I had to get a quote from Ken here, who's been to both of the events for the Reconnect, and I think Paul's already spoken about that. If you get a chance to go, it is one of the best marketing, networking tools you can ever do for referrals, and just a good time. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
It happens at about midnight. And if you can feel us in, right, Stefan?
Okay, so what I'd like to go over now is some unique marketing offerings that come with being part of our group, okay? So go ahead, John. All right, so the cross-market social media exposure. So as Paul made mention, this has been happening for a while now with a lot of your listings. And Andrew in the back of the room there, and Destiny as well, who's probably on the owl, our entire team has a Google space that we all communicate and operate in every single day. And it just keeps going and going and going, people talking to each other, going, through there. Whenever someone says, I'd like to get that social media exposure in San Francisco, in Southern California, in Orange County, LA County, down in Scottsdale, we can easily just drop the assets and all of the post copy into a Google folder and drop it right on in, and they can actually just go ahead and start posting right in their social media calendar and their content mix. So now we start blanketing a lot more ground and than what you're used to having. So, and we have 24 different channels, okay? So again, another big feather in your cap here to be able to talk about this and have this in your listing presentation. And not only that, but it's really easy for us to do it. And we are actually doing it for a lot of our Aspen listings. Another great one here is the co-op advertising program. And as you saw right there in the Marin Living, that's one of them, but we've got a few. And when you get a chance to look at this, you can see based on state and location, how many different publications we are in that you have the potential of advertising your listing in, okay? And not only even your listing, but Ken's even taken advantage. And one of the great reasons why Ken's a great person to have spoken to you is Ken takes full advantage of many of these opportunities. He just seizes the opportunity. So Ken mentioned SVP and Sun Valley Property News, okay? And of course, you just saw in Marin Living, we have a couple different Marin magazines, San Francisco Chronicle, Sonoma Magazine, Scottsdale Independent, Paradise Valley Independent. So we've got a lot of places we can put your listings where there are other clients that want to own or do own in Aspen, in Roaring Fork Valley. Okay, listing presentations, marketing presentations, development presentations. We do lots of presentations, tons of presentations. What I'm working on right now is being able to train that wonderful group of people that I introduced to you earlier to be able to be just, I guess like me, I'm the oldest guy in the group, to be able to, in Destiny, put a great one together for Eric Cavara last couple weeks ago for a big listing. We did it in 24 hours. We did the very first one. Boom, now he's rocking and rolling for anything that comes after that. Just we customize it for the property, for the seller. A lot of the other stuff stays boilerplate for Eric or for Stefan or for Eric and any of you, all of you. So we do that. Also, we've got, for those that might have a development client, builder client, something like that, we've got specialized ones for developments. And what you saw that Paul went over, and here's a little snapshot of that spread down there, that marketing plan is kind of a key element. There's not a lot of competition that's going so far as into saying, not only do we want to show you who we are, what we've done, what we can do for you from a capability standpoint, but here's the plan of how we're going to succeed for you. That's clutch right there. That is really how it works for us. And knowing that presentation backwards and forwards, from front to back, and walking in there confidently, so you're not fumbling through things and not knowing what's in your presentation, is pretty key as well. Because at the end of the day, this is not necessarily going to win you the listing. Your performance will, right? So this is just a tool. It's a hammer. It doesn't swing itself. But it's a really good one. So go ahead and, all right, so listing websites and email marketing offerings. Okay, so we also have a company called Rela out of Southern California. We do this on occasion for some properties that really warrant having something a little bit more special than what might come off of a listing details page or something of that nature. RELA has helped Jim Brewski with a $14 million gorgeous home, new home in Scottsdale. We did one also for Dana Bloom for that one listing that Paul had made mention earlier. So that is available to you. Resora, and I think we went through this on one of our last sales meetings and everything. Automatic, this is like MailChimp on steroids because it is connected to the MLS. It is 100% dedicated to real estate. Our team, our brand all supports it, builds in it all the time, every day. And from monthly newsletters that you can send out automatically to your clients, quarterly reports, your Q1 through 4 reports or end of the year, community-specific event emails, lots of those going out right now for, like in our Park City market. Our team, Tim and Mikhaili, are creating a series of pre-ski season about season passes, about the improvements to the mountain, all of those kinds of things. So it's a series that can be sent out over some time for all the advisors to send to their clients. Newly listed, recently sold open house, and price improvements or correction in that. So your marketing team can make these customizations to these pieces on your behalf. A lot of these are just, we build them once and everybody can send them out to their SOI, right? But in some cases, and the ones that operate the best, those monthly newsletters, we've got an advisor, Chris Weigert in Park City, who just last month, and he texts me every single month, Michelle's nodding her head right now, 30% open rate. I mean, just blows the numbers. It's something I've never even seen in my entire career of how much the email it's his one thing that he does. Okay, just like the Facebook person that Paul and Ken were talking about. He goes really deep with emails, and that's pretty much it. And he does it all through Resora. And what he does is he takes like a newsletter similar to this, and then right above the lead article, he will put in a little customized message from himself, and then he'll change a few things around towards the tail end of it with some listings and some various things that he wants to put in there. But 90% of it's pretty much what we built, and it works. It works good.
By the way, on that note, Resora, Skyslope, EV's new website, come January 1st, all linked together.
Yep.
So in other words, you send out a Resora piece, client looks at it, they go back into it, so now it triggers them as a lead, goes into your Chime, but also kicks, if you want it to, it can start retarget marketing with digital ads to that person and then give you those stats back into Chime. That's pretty cool too for yourself.
I got a little bit of what Paul's talking about from Caitlin Castellano and Margaret Wybar, who's heading up the whole Chime integration and the new product suite that's coming after the first of the year. Super exciting, super exciting. So if you're not on Chime now, get ready. I can tell. Ken's jumping right now. You don't know it, but he is. Okay, custom strategies. It's been made mention a bunch of times. I do love to work with all of you on helping create some kind of a strategy for some kind of a goal that you've got going on. If you need consulting, please don't be bashful. Give me a ring. I'm easy to talk to. We'll figure out what we can do for you for that one, for whatever that goal and that solution that you need. Please let me know. Let's see, that's the custom strategies. Okay, so what you can expect when taking a listing. This is Paul's favorite. This was something that I recently developed that makes sense in a lot of ways to help alleviate what all of you don't necessarily probably like to do or want to do or should do, because you should be working with your clients, buyers, sellers, networking, getting business generated. This part should be happening in the background, because I'm going to kind of rephrase something that both Ken and Paul touched on. Marketing is like breathing. You don't stop. That's marketing and sales. If you want to be a successful salesperson, you want to maintain what you got or build it, breathe harder, breathe more, go, and just like anything, through seasons and through different times, you might breathe a little less, you might breathe a little heavier, but you're always breathing. And so that's marketing. what you can expect when taking a listing. So what this is, and this is going to be sent to you as a PDF so you guys can see exactly what this all is. But Gestalt Group included marketing. Here's that big long list. X market means cross marketing. So this is the ability to be able to market outside of your market. So that's what all of these X's denote, is what all of these are in other markets. And then what we've done is we've taken listings at different price points. And this is a tiered marketing program for listings from okay, that was my flash dance. That was my. You didn't like that? That wasn't good? Oh. All right, we'll talk later. Okay, so 0 to 2 million, we will do this. That's what's recommended. Can we do more? Absolutely. But this is really the core. 2 to 5 million, these additional features, 5 to 10, 10 and above. Okay. Do we need to or want to do all of those for any one of those?
I'm so sorry.
I didn't dance. So yes, depending on whether it's a land listing or it's a commercial listing, or there's a lot of different factors. Not all listings are created equal. So therefore, some of these may not apply. So it's something that needs to be tweaked. But for the most part, this is what we will do for your listings without anything more than just you guys getting the business. Okay. The advisor paid marketing down here. Now, these are things that if you want to do anything in addition to this list right here, here are some additional options. And for instance, additional visual media services, local print or any kind of print advertising, GG co-op advertising, some of those have additional costs, but they're small, they're nominal, and it gets you where you need to be. So there you go there.
So this automatically happens.
Well, so I'd like to touch on the cross market, because I know when we first launched and quite a few agents had listings who were like, hey, I want to get this on all of Gestalt Groups, all of their other shops, I want to put my listing on all of their social media. And it had a bunch all at the same time, and we're like, okay, well, we can't have the Park City feed look like the Aspen feed right now, we can't.
We have to space them.
They have to space them out, yeah, and it's got to be, a certain type of photo and listing too. So some of the cross marketing is dependent. I wouldn't assume that whole list is going to be done
for every single listing. Yep. So, and nor a lot of these again are things like, for instance, let me see, Shop TV submission. There's rules around that. You can't guarantee that any of those are always going to be on there. So there is somewhat of a limitation on here, but it is an opportunity that you will have and you always have when you take on a new listing.
If the listing meets the certain criteria.
If the listing meets the criteria, yes.
We still use ListHub, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ListHub is through what?
That's through the Edge platform.
The Edge platform.
Yeah, that's the largest syndication company that has curated the most amount of the syndication channels is through ListHub, and ListHub Global. That's the other one. So
through IDX, it'll still pick up your listing, and then you can set it up accordingly.
Yep. Okay. And then you can actually through ListHub actually have generated reports come back to you as well on that. So anyhow, this is exciting. This is what our teams all throughout the Gestalt Group are doing for our listings, for our advisors. On when we take some of these, we're automatically going to start producing all of these things. And with some of them are going to be triggered with a phone call asking if this is something that you want to do. If you want to be in the LA Times, you want to be in San Francisco Chronicle, you want to be in Marin Living, that kind of a thing. So next, John. Okay, family office. Now this is one, I've had a conversation, and Paul, you might want to talk to this a little bit too. But I in the very beginning when we partnered, there was a couple, I can't remember who it was it Harrison? Somebody I talked to that just needed some talking points going to a listing appointment, literally driving there. And this was one of the words that I used because it's such a huge differentiator. And given the fact that he knew who he was talking to, what's going to be some buzzwords that's going to get their attention?
So Rob Lansness, he's actually going to come the next time we do this, next quarter, I guess. And so Rob runs our family office division. Rob's brother has managed some of the most significant families in the Bay Area's money. So Rob's kind of grown up into that family office world. And it's a very hard world for we as real estate agents to break into, because everyone's trying to, like, if you're managing a billionaire's money, everybody wants a piece of you. So what Rob's been able to do is take his relationships and create events. We did one at, what's it called, Wayne and Barrel up in Sonoma, where you shoot and drink wine. Interesting combo. I had a lot of fun. But
Where your
UBS guy believes in drinking first, then shooting.
Yeah, that's how UBS rolls. So yeah, he had the head of UBS who handles, 1 out of 3 billionaires' money worldwide. We had the head of UBS there. We had multiple heads of offices, including Deb Dolby of Dolby Sound, or Lee Maybach from Maybach Cars. They were actually there. And what Rob did is we didn't talk real estate. We just sat there and said, okay, here's a topic that's important to you guys, and they just started sharing it. And then we did the same thing. We got them out on the boat in the Bay Area for the Fleet Week last year, and a couple of the actual billionaires showed up, as well as heads of offices, and we create topics that they share ideas with, because even though they're in those worlds, they don't see each other much. And so we've become a resource for the family office divisions around the country, some very significant ones. We're part of a group it's called Tile Capital that Rob works with, that really takes your properties, if it's a significant property, and gets it in front of other family offices. So they feel it's vetted. So with the right listing, this is a good story. Rob is a good resource. Rob will get on the phone with you and your client. It's not something you want to overuse, because we don't want to break the trust in that barrier. So it is a delicate thing. That's why I want to have Rob come out and explain a little bit more. But it is something that if you have a property that is significant that you just can't land and you need an extra edge, this is a nice edge that clients with a lot of money really understand this world a lot more than the rest of us.
Yeah, so a lot of times I will find out about a lot of the higher end listings, the trophy listings, or a very competitive situation on a higher end listing. I've talked with Rob many a times, making sure I get approval from him to be able to put this on in there. I talked to the advisor I'm doing the presentation for, and it's one of those feathers in the cap. So, next please.
He's also connected like network television.
Yeah. Some of this is not marketing related, but just the white glove transaction management. Go ahead, John. You can go to the next one. Gestalt Group business training, technology tools, and sales and marketing. One thing I can say, what we're going to do moving forward is having a monthly tech training, like Paul mentioned, Tech Tuesdays. Is that what you said? Or Lunch and Learns. We have a lot of little names for things.
If we feed you, you might come.
So if you want to learn, for instance, this is a big one that's been getting a lot of traction throughout our group, and it's done on a local basis, but we can also do it through a virtual training session, is Reels. Like in the social media world right now, Reels are getting the most views, the most eyeballs. People are just obsessed with seeing things for 60 seconds and just going nuts through all of these. Well, why not add yourself to the mix, right? And have that beautiful listing, or have something from your marketplace in there. So that's just one example of that. I think one of our advisors in Park City, Michael Hatz, or was it Kermesis, one of the two, it went viral. Like just some crazy, he was out on his boat on the Jordanelle Reservoir and did some funny thing like I just did with the dancing, and next thing you know, it goes nuts. So he got a lot of views. So anyhow, and then sales and marketing, that's kind of what I'm talking about now. Go ahead, John. Yachting, we've already covered that. Next, John. Development services, another one that Paul might want to touch on too. I'm pretty involved in this one as well. So when it comes to development services, is something that we've been involved in from corporate all the way down to the Gestalt Group. Paul, would you like to speak a little bit about this?
Well, yeah, bragging about Rick a little bit. It's really your forte. I mean, Rick's been involved with literally hundreds of projects, from bringing the Montage to Park City, St. Regis, Waldorf. You know, we've been the marketing firm for pretty much every major project that ever hit Utah. We will close approximately 2,200 development deals over the next 12 months that are in escrow right now. We're finalizing a 3,800 home listing in Zions area. We have a ski resort with 2,000 homes in Nepal that we just took on.
Yep.
We have another ski resort property in Sun Valley that's a large development hotel. Park City, we have many. You know, so our team, Mark Slutton runs it. Mark Slutton has 40 years of development experience. He's on salary to help you guys. So in other words, if you call Mark and say, I need help like trying to land this development, Mark's role is not to take your commission. Mark's role is to support and help. Because developers, what we've learned is that over the years is developers don't love real estate agents. We all say the same thing to a developer. We're going to sell your home the fastest for the most money. You know, they've heard it from every real estate agent who wants a piece of their development. So we don't have that trust factor. What a developer typically is somebody that's learning how to leverage money. They're investors. You know, they're fact-driven, stat-driven. You know, we don't view them that way because they're down and dirty on construction sites, but the reality is they care about product mix. They care about what the floor plan should be, when they should release, why they should release when, what are the facts and stats you have to back up what you're saying. And that's what Mark does a really good job helping you build and create. So it's something we've been very successful at, and something we hope to help you be successful in your next venture that maybe you need a little extra help with.
Yeah, and what this really amounts to is anything that is from, say 4 units of, development all the way up to, 3,800 units. It doesn't really matter. The scalability is all, and the services are all there. Sometimes we do a lot of that stuff in-house if it's a smaller type of deal. And on the 3,800, we bring in marketing partners out of Chicago called Evolution, who have a partnership with our corporate headquarters. And they can do beyond amazing things. So we've got all the bases covered when it comes to marketing. I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Summer.
When will you be available to do one-on-ones with agents?
On a schedule basis. So just give me a call and we'll figure out when.
2 days.
Oh, the next, today? Oh, today? Yeah, I'll be around all day today and half of the day tomorrow before we fly back. So if anyone wants to try to get in touch with me and we can talk for a period of time, I'm going to try to get to as many of you as I can. Please feel free. So, okay. Okay, 2 minutes. You got it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. There you go.
I mean, I've been saying it for every office meeting for the last few months, but my goal, as you all know, is to get you all on a plan and having a plan. And those who didn't read Paul's email, it was very good, and it's now more than ever, have a plan, including marketing, have a business plan, and stick to it. And I've been working as well with Rick on a master kind of, if an agent did every strategy, it's all in there, and then I can sit with each of you, or we can, and say, okay, here's your budget, you're not gonna do a lot of print, but we're gonna get you on Resora, we're gonna, get you on SoulShirt. There's things you can do that don't cost money, and if you have a small budget, hey, let's try to do this, but, and just if we can, as staff, collect all of your plans, and then it's a set it and forget it mentality. Obviously there's things you're gonna have to do, like if you do Resora, you're gonna have to, hopefully, I think based on a lot of the email marketing that I get from other agents in our market, or that is forwarded to me by you guys, I think the ones that seem to get the most impact, I'm curious your open rate, is having that OG statement.
It's about
30, yeah. Melissa does a really good job on hers as well. I get them, I don't know if anyone else does. But she does a really personal message, and I know a lot of you that's hard to write, but there's time now. This is even you don't have a lot of transactions. This is a 40+ hour a week business, and so treat it that way and work on your plan. And as we love to say, what does it say? If you do the work will take care of you. So even if you don't have the money, which is hard, especially in these next few months are going to be hard. We're in a really weird place in the market where sellers haven't quite come off the highs and buyers aren't willing to pay that. And what buyers can afford might be less, especially here in the Mid-Valley down. So, even though you don't have a lot of transactional work, it's time to roll up your sleeves and, make the calls and get your marketing plans going, get your business plans going, and we're all here to help you. I love that. I mean, I keep asking everyone, send me how many transactions you plan on closing between, October 1, which is now next week, and third quarter, so for the next year, from here forward. I think only like 5 of 70 actually responded. The reason I want that is because I want you to see as well, okay, if I want to close 10 deals in the next year, then the next question is, well, how many of those are coming from your sphere of influence of that 10, and how many are coming from new sources? And then we can, once we have that number and split that number, we're in a better position to create a more customized marketing plan for you, to where we can say, okay, you want to get 7 deals from your sphere of influence, here's how we're going to do it. Because marketing to your sphere of influence is much different than postcards and print ads. So we can craft, like, okay, how are you going to get those 3 new deals? Maybe it's signing up for the Salvation Army and ringing the bell like Scott and Joni do out in City Market all of December, and standing out in front of the grocery stores, Like, there's ways you can get in front of people and grab new clients. So, anyways, I'd love to really work with you guys.
Love that. I hope the takeaways are, well, for one, with Ken, there's takeaways that if you ask for referrals and you leverage the brand and you really tell the story, there's referral business out there. He probably wants some of yours. But
And if you're coming to San Francisco, let me know, and I can then pull out my carpet.
the host, yes. We really do believe what we're saying when it comes to the marketing, but really what I hope your takeaway is that we're passionate about helping you grow. We're going to do this together. That's the best way to do this, and that's how we're going to grow. We need you to bring your friends to our brokerage, meaning if there's someone you've done a transaction with, there's someone in the community that you like that you think should be with our family and our group, please bring them to us. We will make it worth your while. Eric and Summer have a plan. We're working on the rollout with you, but we really want to make this like a group this is an amazing culture group. I love coming here. These last 2 trips, it's like my takeaways here is this is a special group, and you don't see this much talent in the room, in too many markets that are, this size. It's just not a normal thing. And so let's add to this family. It's going to be a harder year next year than this year. We all know it. We can still thrive and survive. And instead of survive, we can thrive. But, let's also grow. Let's grow with the right people that we want with us. We need your help to do that. Let's grow our marketing footprint, and let's grow the energy that we're building here, because our hearts are in it. We're here for you, and we appreciate you. So thank you.